Right, we're now live. Everybody, I'm Malcolm Brody, Human Vortex Training, your certified and experienced USA cycling expert level coach and strength and conditioning coach, here today on a beautiful Tuesday morning, September 25th, 2018, to talk with you just a little bit about base. So this morning we had our third team practice for White City Racing here, and we had some fun drills. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of what we did. If you would like to see some of the drills we are doing, you should subscribe to the HVTraining YouTube channel here down below, or our Instagram, because we will do some live broadcast from the practices the next couple of weeks. This morning was our third practice for base of 2019. Yes, it's September 25th, and I'm already talking about base. What about cross, bro? Cross is wonderful, but it's also something that should be a part of your base training if you're a road cyclist. If you're an amateur, you like to go out and have fun, having the cyclocross races on the weekend is a great way to get some intensity in, shake it up just a little bit, and help you be able to build your base a little bit broader. You get the long rides, hopefully one weekend day, and then you have cross. But what we're doing for the White City Racing team here is actually pretty fun and pretty cool, and definitely something that you should be doing on your own as well. So what exactly is it that we're doing? Are we just riding base miles all day, every day? Absolutely not. So that's a very old school method, riding tons and tons of miles at base, and then kind of building intensity outside of that. Personally, at Human Vortex Training, I've never had any athletes go out and ride only base for long periods of time. That doesn't mean that we don't do it. I remember the first time I gave Andy Seitz a 6-hour ride. He's like, dude, what am I supposed to do for 6 hours? He wound up going out and having fun with some of the guys from, I think at the time it was GPOA, it's still GPOA pro team, as well as a couple guys from CAT Elite Racing in Pittsburgh, and they did like 120 miles or so at a very low pace. So that's part of the key, is when you do go out and do base, you need to do base. And this is a mistake a lot of cyclists and triathletes make. When you go out for your base rides, it's all over the place. You're doing hard efforts, you're hammering up hills, coming back down. There is definitely a time and a place for this. But this time of year, in September, we kind of want to do what people are now calling that 80-20 training, or contrast training, if you will, where they're doing super high intensity or polarized training. Super high intensity for very short amounts of time, and then a long time at base and lower amounts. This is something that we can definitely use, and actually, we'll do heart rate variability training here at Human Vortex Training. We've been doing it for a number of years, and the reason I started is because power meters are great, but we've lost that sense of what our bodies are actually doing. And we're seeing, the Apple 4 watch, which is just coming out now, or will come out soon, we're seeing has like an EKG and all this other health stuff in it. Somebody called it a glorified medical device, which is kind of true a little bit, but I'm personally very excited about it. This is something that we can now pull all this information from. So we're able to go out into our base knowing what our bodies are actually capable of and where we are. You also have the Whoop strap, you have a ton of other devices out there. You have Morpheus, so you're able to see what your heart rate variability is when you're out and how quickly it takes you to recover. Why did I go from base miles to talking about heart rate variability training? Because this is kind of what we want to look at when we're in base. We don't just want to look at our watts, we also want to look at training our physiological systems, our heart rate, our ability to control the heart rate and keep it at certain, under certain ceilings, and to recover from those little tiny rollers, or in Pittsburgh, all the rollers that you have that can really push your heart rate up and put you into the red quite a bit. So all of this ties together with what we did this morning, because without the guys even knowing it, we actually wound up doing heart rate variability training, which is pretty cool. And what it was is we started off first with 2 laps nice and easy. We started off with the warm-up, double pace line, getting people comfortable back on the bike. We took a 2-week break here from structured training, from any team training, so a lot of people still rode, which isn't a bad thing. Personally, I took a week and a half completely off the bike, and I could feel it today in a good way. It felt fresh, it felt new mentally, physically. It was really, really nice to get back on, and I was excited to get back on the bike, believe it or not. Now, I know some of you may be thinking as a coach, I should always be excited, but there are days when we all have it, especially towards the end of the season, where we get on the bike because it's a habit and we know we have to, and if we want to continue to ride, that we need to keep our fitness up, and that's where that mental break is really important. And we continue that through our base. So this morning we did the 2 laps warm-up, then we did a number of about 2 or 3 laps, I think it was, with bumping and touching elbows. First we start off with a basic drill. We're going to ride side by side, counting shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back down. And this is just getting the athletes used to riding close to one another. You'll see they start off and they're really reaching to touch the rider on the opposite side of the shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then after about 3 or 4 minutes, you're like, wow, this is really easy. Great, perfect. That's what we wanted, because the real drill for today is going to be touching elbows and bumping and leaning in just a little bit. And most riders, and you know you're guilty of it too, just as I was guilty of it when I started riding. We're doing bumping, I can't do that. That's not okay. So I went the opposite direction. I said, all right, guys, and I took out nickels. And I said, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to ride in pairs, and we're going to keep the nickels between our elbows for the whole lap. And one of the guys was like, no, we're not doing that. That's too much. And I was like, okay. So what I did is I threw the line out way past where the expectations were. And that doesn't mean that if nobody ejected, we wouldn't try it. We would try it. But it was just not the intended goal that we had for the day, was to ride with nickels. That's coming a little bit later. So what I did is said, okay, the nickels are a little bit much. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to touch elbows. So what we've done is we've now thrown the calf past. We've asked for a reach. So I kind of get a feel for who's comfortable, who's not. And as soon as there's an objection, we come back to what was actually planned. Now, that doesn't always work in coaching. If you're working with beginners and you're like, okay, you just learned how to ride a bike, we're going to do nickels between it. No, not happening. But with experienced riders who I know can ride safely, it's something we can do. So what we did is we spent about 15 minutes going through 2 to 3 laps, about 3.5 kilometer laps, riding, touching elbows, getting comfortable. And it is just such a pleasure as a coach to watch riders get so comfortable riding side by side that it really allows them to relax when they're not in the drill, and they just automatically wind up riding closer together. So we went from the warm-up riding about 1.5 feet apart to, at the end of this second drill, riding about 3 to 4 inches apart. And it's just such a pleasure, especially also as an experienced rider, to feel safe and comfortable around other riders and see them understand that you don't have to be afraid of contact. It's natural, it happens, and you need to be comfortable with it. So we finished that drill, and then we got into the neurological work. And this is something that one of the riders is like, why are we doing neurological work in base, the beginning of base? He didn't say it like that, emphasis is mine. But why are we doing neurological work at the beginning of base? What's the point? Shouldn't we do that later on? Like, why are we doing this? So we did power starts this morning, and power starts are maximal effort, short maximal effort, under-geared, meaning easier gear than you would want to, 5-second acceleration, 5 to 8 seconds from a low speed. What we're working on is the neurological recruitment of the motor units and the recruitment of the type 2 muscle fibers. And what this does is allow us to use more of the motor unit. So let's say you go to a horse farm, and in one corral, you have 20 horses. By going out and doing the power starts, we now are adding 3 or 4 horses, let's say. So now instead of 20, you have 23 horses. It doesn't happen after one session, but that's the goal of it, is by doing short maximal efforts, the body's going to say, hey, we need some help here because we can't meet the demands that's going on right now. We need to have a little bit more help. That's on the structural side. You also have the neurological adaptation, so that's recruiting more of the motor unit. The second thing is you're also going to have the metabolic adaptations. Remember, there's 4 pillars for athletic progression. You have the hormonal, cardiovascular, neuromuscular, and cardiorespiratory. So all of these 4 systems have to adapt. By doing these power starts this time of year, what we're doing essentially is giving the athletes the ability to recruit new muscle fibers and to start using those fast twitch muscle fibers while getting in a certain amount of work. Now, we did 12 times 5 to 8 second power starts in pairs. So what this did is allow each athlete to kind of learn from one another as they were going, as well as to be challenged as they went through. So if we do it alone, I personally am very motivated for power starts and sprinting. I've found after my coach showed me that that was a big strength of mine, I'm more motivated for that than doing an hour at threshold. An hour at threshold for me is very, very tough. And full disclosure, I've only made it about, I think, 54 minutes on my own. Like the last 6 minutes, I couldn't do it. I'm the worst time trialist ever, right? Whereas there are others out there who just love it. They can really push. When I'm in a group, if we're going fast, I can set a threshold. I can be at the front and I'm working with others. I can do 2 hours. In that sense, I'm not normal. Like, I'm the one where the group is starting to fall apart. I'm like, guys, just keep pushing. Take shorter pulls. You can do this. And part of that is learning how to help my heart rate recover in between these efforts. And that was the second part, or third part, if you will, of today's workout. So we have the neurological adaptations, getting close to one another and sprinting next to one another, which is another thing after we touched elbows and counting shoulders. And it's really, really nice because what you see during this progression is the athletes not only are getting a hard workout in, but they're also becoming more comfortable riding next to one another at effort. This is a fantastic way, and a lot of us have seen, if you haven't liked the Facebook page, Human Vortex Training, I'll post it again, but there's a video from a finish of a UCI race from I think 2 years ago. It's the back underneath the saddle cam, and you can see is just chaos. The rider that's being protected, yes, go, wait, and there's a guy, elbows into another, there's a lot of contact. So getting used to this contact in this type of setting of sprinting where you're a little bit tired and you coast and recover really helps the athlete get set and learn the mental tools. And this is what we don't coach that often, are the mental tools that you need to be ready as you gear up for the sprint. It's not just the physical prowess and physical power that you need, it's also the mental ability that you have to not spend the energy worrying so much about another rider bumping you or taking some contact. So today's session was incredibly beneficial for the riders who came. Just at the end, really as a coach, I should have taken a video of each of the guys, the pairs coming around so you can see the difference in how they're riding next to one another. So next time we go and do that, I will have some film for you. But it's just really important, and this is how you start your base period, is don't just think low intensity. If you've had a really long season, and you're mentally and physically tired, you need to take the time off the bike. And I don't mean go riding mountain bikes. Go do something else. Go for some light jogs, go for some cyclocross, easy, do some yoga, do some Pilates, do some strength training, change it up. But 7 to 10 days of full rest is something that we really need. And that doesn't mean full rest, laying in bed, sleeping, eating your heart out. It means staying active and doing things that are going to be beneficial for you and helping the body mentally and physically recover. And this is a mistake a lot of riders make. I had a postseason wrap-up with Esther Meisels, and she just finished her first season, full season in the U.S. as a pro. And we were on the phone, and 2 weeks ago at the end of her last race, I was like, look, we really need to do a postseason wrap-up. We need to do all this. And we just, mentally, she was very tired. And we finally got together about 2 weeks later, and then when we were talking, she's like, we're not really doing a wrap-up, like we're not talking about races and stuff. I was like, I said to her, the time for that was about 2 weeks ago, but now is the time for you to mentally recover, and this is how we're going to do it. And I did some coaching, and we talked a little bit, and at the end of the call, she's like, this is really not what I expected. I feel really good, and we've really come a long way in a short time. Like, I can't believe what I was able to do this year, and how I was able to do a whole season. And like at the end, I knew I was, the Gateway Cup in St. Louis, I really wanted to do. It was like a bonus for me. But the fact I was able to do that and not be burned out and to finish that race and be like, okay, I'm done and okay with that was really big. And this is important. Taking the time off the bike. Don't just roll from the summer season into these long fall rides. And that's something I've always done myself and encourage my athletes to. And that can mean commuting around town, no structure. But try and get off the bike for at least 5 days, recover, and have some fun. When you come back, do things that are different. So power starts are different. It's a 75-minute workout. Really allows you to start to challenge yourself in new ways. It's a little bit of hard work, but not so much you leave the session zapped. And what will happen over the next couple of weeks is the riders here at White City Racing are going to realize they're really excited to get on their bikes and do these longer rides that we have scheduled. So that's how we want to begin our base period. I know this is a little bit long of a live session, and for those of you who are watching the replay, there's a ton more information out there that I want to share with you, but we're going to do it bit by bit. So the big things to take away from today, number one is base period starts now. So don't think of it as transition for 4 to 6 weeks. Take 7 to 10 days off of the bike completely. Let yourself recover mentally and physically. That's the second thing. Taking that break away, do other things. Get away from the bike, get off the bike. Then when you get back on the bike, like I can't tell you how giddy I was this morning when I finally got threw the leg over the bike and started riding. I was like, wow, I really miss this a lot. And it really allows you to ignite that passion. And that's something that a lot of us, we love the lifestyle of being a cyclist, totally cool, but we have to make sure we also take a break from it. Same thing with my coffee, is I try and take 7 to 10 days off twice a year. Usually what honestly happens is I take 10 days off, and then I'll take maybe 5 later, and I'll drink tea instead. So it's not necessarily away from caffeine, but it's away from coffee. So cycling. things in life, no pun intended. Number 3 is when you start back in base, don't shy away from doing neurological efforts that can help you recruit more motor units, recruit more of the type 2 muscle fibers, as well as get you that higher end intensity that you need to allow you to kind of balance your riding. Long base miles have their spot, have their place in training. You need to do long miles, but don't think that's the end all be all in the fall. So that's it for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Leave your comments or questions down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I know I kind of went in circles and maybe you need to rewind and watch this again. It's completely unscripted. There's nothing else here. Me, my books, my coffee, and you. So I know that there's a lot going on in this video. Go back, watch it again. There's tons of stuff for you to learn. Like and subscribe to the HVT YouTube channel. We have a ton of strength training for cyclists or weight training for cyclists and triathlete videos coming out in the next couple of weeks. We're working on getting some other stuff, content up for you guys, which we are very excited about. What do you want to hear about? Message me or email me rather at Brody, B as in boy, R-O-D as in dog, I-E, at humanvortextraining.com, and let me know what you'd like to hear about. Also, for those of you who did not know, we have 2 USA Cycling webinars coming up in the next 2 weeks. I believe it's next Tuesday or Wednesday. We're doing a lunchtime, and the next Tuesday after that, again, a lunchtime Mountain Standard Time webinars on women-specific training considerations. We're going to talk about nutrition, hydration, and strength training for women, especially talking about the menstrual cycle and how you need to adapt your nutrition, strength training, and riding to match that. And this is huge. This is something that I've been working on for the last 8 years at Human Vortex Training. I'm very excited to share it with you guys. So until next time, train smarter, not harder. Comment below. And remember, it is all about you and having a fast 2019. I'll see you guys soon. Here's my coffee. Ciao. Oh no, how do I end it?